Yo, what is good, YouTube? Already know who it is. It's your boy DFG Frosty, aka Young Frosty, and I'm back again with another banger. In today's video, I have 4 builds, one build for each class, and today I will be showing you guys the best beginner builds in Shinobi Strikers. And to top it off, it is free of charge, so that means no DLC is required. So if you're interested in that, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into this video. Roll my intro.
Snitching on my facts. Back it up, back it up. 223 gon' make a nigga back it up. 21 tryna strip a nigga, gotta change my outfit. Nigga ain't black enough. Yeah, Boulder Crest Road, Glenwood Road,
The first class that we'll be going over is the attack class. The attack class is my favorite class to use in all the Shinobi Strikers simply because sometimes I don't even need ninjutsus to get killed. This class allows you to fight up close and personal and just throw hands and be a straight menace to society. Simple as that. The build that I'll be running is going to be Leaf Rising Wind and Sharingan for the ninjutsus. And for a substitution, I will be using Shadow Clone Jutsu. And for a secret technique, I will be using 7 Heavenly Breath. With the Leaf Rising Wind, it's going to allow you to teleport to your opponent, kicking them in the face, launching them up into the air, leaving it open for you to do a bunch of combos to them. Now moving on to the Sharingan. Sharingan allows you to have an extra substitution for one attack. So if anybody uses any jutsus or tries to hit you while you have Sharingan activated, it will automatically sub you out of the way. These ninjutsus work amazingly well together because of the short cooldown time and how much time you can be using the ninjutsus. And don't forget, you will be basically unstoppable with Sharingan because you will be dodging every single move. Now moving on to the secret technique, which is going to be 7 Heavenly Breath. With this ultimate, it's going to allow you to have heals over time for the duration of the ultimate, and basically when you're using this, you won't be able to die unless someone else hits you with another ultimate. Therefore, this is why I say this is the best beginner build for Shinobi Strikers for the attack class. Now moving on to the range class. As the name suggested, obviously we will be playing ranged, but there's 2 ways you can play a ranged class. You can either play aggressive or you can play it more far back. Me personally, I rather play more far back just because the way ranges are set up, they don't have the most health. So when you get too close and you start getting, beat up on, you're basically gonna die. But that's just my personal opinion. The build that we'll be running is going to be Super Beast Scroll Birds, Inferno Flame Control. For our substitution, we will be using Shadow Clone Jutsu, and for our secret technique, we will be using Tosca Blade. With these ninjutsu, it's going to basically allow you to play very passive. You don't even have to get anywhere near your opponent. It's going to be a very hard time for them to track you simply because with the Super Beast Scroll Birds, they're going to be blinded and they're going to be taking burn damage from Inferno Flame Control. So basically, while they're getting burn damage and while they're blinded, you can just spam your Senbon or you can spam your kunais. Either way, you're going to be doing damage and it's going to be hard for them to attack you. For the secret technique, as you already know, it's going to be Tosca Blade, and basically with this, it's a 2-part ultimate. So as soon as you first use it, if anybody's near you, they're going to get automatically KO'd. And with the second activation of it, which is when you do your sword attack, whoever is locked on it gets hit by that, then they're going to also get KO'd as well. This is one of my favorite builds to use for the range class simply because it's very annoying. You can play passive how much you want. Doesn't matter if anyone gets close to you, you're going to be spamming them Senbon and basically just be doing chip damage the whole exact time. Therefore, this is why I think this is the best non-DLC beginner build for the range class. Now we'll be moving on to the defensive class. With the defensive class, you will notice that you're a little bit more slower than most of the other classes, but the takeaway from that is that you will be having way more health than everybody else, and that's basically the advantage of the defensive class. Don't get me wrong, with the defensive class you can still be a threat, especially if you have the right ninjutsus. The build that we'll be running is going to be 8 trigrams palm rotation, then we'll be using Ripple for the second ninjutsu. For our substitution, we will be using the Clay Clone, and for our secret technique, we will be using Super Expansion Jutsu. With 8 trigrams palm rotation, it's going to basically allow you to deflect other ninjutsus, and basically if anybody tries to hit you while you're in this state, all of their ninjutsus will be sealed. With Ripple, it's basically going to allow you to stretch your arm out, grabbing your opponent and pulling them towards you, which will basically allow you to do multiple combos and do a lot of damage towards them. You will also get amount of health back depending on the damage that you do with the Ripple when you activate the jutsu and it hits the opponent. With super expansion, jutsu is basically going to allow you to turn into a giant, and basically you're going to be doing a slam to the ground, and most likely if anybody's standing under you, it will be a KO. With this secret technique, you're able to get this at least 3 times a game if you pop it right away. This build is pretty meta, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fun to use. Therefore, this is why I say this is the best beginner build for the defensive class in Shinobi Striker. And last but not least, we will be moving on to the healer class. With the healer class, as it says in its name, it's going to allow you to heal your team. There's 2 ways you can play healer. You can either play as a regular healer or you can play as a combat healer. If you do decide to play a combat healer, I highly recommend you to have at least 1 healing ninjutsu that will heal your team in certain situations. For the build that I'll be running is going to be cellular extraction and 8 trigrams air palm. For our substitution, we will be using Shadow Clone Jutsu, and for our secret technique, we will be using Gentle Step Twin Lion Fist. With cellular extraction, it's basically going to give burst heals to any teammates that is in your surrounding area. This jutsu is pretty good and is still used in today's meta builds. With air palm, it's basically going to allow you to shoot out an air palm from your hand, and if it hits an opponent, basically it's going to seal the user's ninjutsu, and it's going to decrease the user's jutsu cooldown time. So basically, I highly recommend you to use this move on a healer, simply because if a healer can't use his heals, he's going to be basically useless. So that's my go-to when I'm using this build. With the Twin Lion Fist secret technique, it's basically going to allow you to do a spin thrust forward, and this attack will inflict damage and reset target secret technique gauge. So basically when they get hit, they cannot use their secret technique because all of it will be gone. In my opinion, this is one of my favorite ultimates to use as a healer, just because it's very fast and you get it multiple times a game, especially if you use it right away. All around, this is still a pretty good build to use even if you do have DLCs, because I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty easy build to use and it does a lot of help for your team. But therefore, this is why I have this as the best healer beginner build in Shinobi Striker. Alright guys, that will be all for the builds for today's video. So let me know down below if you guys use these builds or what you think about these builds. If you have any other build that you want me to try on this channel, drop it down below and I'll be glad to do it. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. So without further ado, outro please.
Okay, bye.